We're just gonna go right into it. I like to do a running start.
Great.
Because I feel like if I just go, it's weird. I just gotta go. So here's Brian. What would you say as a creative person, a wordsmith, a performer? What would you say one of your biggest fears is?
Dying hungry and alone.
Okay. Yeah. That's actually a very valid
one. Never earning my father's respect. And then a close third, robots.
I think that's why we're friends, because we have all the same fears, but just in a different order. 100%. So here's the friggin' thing. I feel like I've always had a comfort that, like, all right, there's just certain things that robots are not going to be able to do.
Right. Never. Untouchable.
They can't do it. We were texting about what we're going to talk about, and you referenced our episode about the guy who makes weird robot AI sculptures, including like a plant with a friggin' machete. So that was a new one for me. But there's a new AI on the block, and everybody's talking about it.
Oh no.
Yeah, Brian. And I don't even really know how to broach it, but I'll say this. It's this Brian and Eric don't belong here. We're back from Thanksgiving. Let's roll it. We're back. This is Brian and Eric don't belong here. I'm Eric here with my handsome Terminator fighting, very human and not an AI friend, Brian Miller.
That's me. That is me. I am not computer. I am Brian. Your human friend.
Fuck.
Man, I haven't heard that theme song in a little while. It's been a couple weeks since I've listened to that.
It's good. Better every single time.
Makes me dance. Literally every time we're recording this, Eric and I do the same little dumb dance.
You can't not wag a finger to it. I'll say that.
Oh, buddy, robots.
Look, we're here. We're in a college dorm room. We're high as hell. And we're talking about spooky AIs that are going to change the future of humanity.
So you mentioned, you actually texted me about this, and then in the intro you were saying, like, everyone's talking about this. I don't actually know what you're talking about. You just texted me robots, and I'm like, robots, man.
So I should say everybody, as in a few people on Twitter.
Of course.
Which is, that's the whole
that's
world.
What the word means now.
Yes, that's right. I'm going to drop a link in the chat so you can see this. You might have to log in. But basically what it is, so OpenAI created essentially like a chat bot, but this AI can read human language. So it got into GitHub and now like knows how to code. And it it can correct code. It can also just like write you. The crazy thing about it is you can just give it prompts. Like there's
literally I'm signing in right now. I'm giving it my phone number.
Yeah, that's fine. It'll call you and threaten you, but it can't do anything yet outside of the computer. Let me see. I'm gonna look on Twitter for some of these crazy examples. But basically, go ahead. Sorry.
So wait, real fast. This is called OpenAI.
Yeah.
I actually can't. My phone is not charged, so it can't send me the verification code right now,
and it won't
send
saved.
it to my. And it won't go to my my Google number. So unfortunately, I cannot participate. If you want to screen share yours, though.
Yeah, let me see if I can do that. So I'll show you what it's. So I was actually trying. I thought what would be a fun thing would be share screen. Window, this one. I'll do this, but then I won't infinite us. Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen.
So as you can see here, what I tried to do was get the AI to write a review of the podcast. Brian and Eric don't belong here. It broke it.
It literally. So yeah, you have typed in write a review of the podcast. Brian and Eric don't belong here. We literally got an error occurred in red text. We made the robot mad.
But now we have an excuse to contact support and to get them to write a review. So maybe that's the upshot. But yeah, we've made the robot mad. Our podcast is unreviewable, which actually checks out with the current number of reviews we have.
We've been at this for a year.
Oh yeah,
we've been back at it for a year now.
Dude, that's crazy. Actually,
that made me feel bad.
To me, it makes me feel good. I feel like we're beating all the odds.
There we go. Yeah, we just got to stay at it. That's
Everybody else will die eventually, if nothing else. We'll just be the cockroaches of the podcast world. We just don't go away.
That reminded me that I had a thought, and I guess it's semi-related to this open AI thing that sure. We'll get into, of like why I guess this is terrifying.
Yeah.
But it just. This reminded me of the simulation theory. The potentials of this remind me of the simulation theory, which we talked about a year ago, almost. Oh, but I was at a party this past weekend, and they had set up an old CRT TV with. Do you remember the original Wii?
Yeah.
And part of the Wii thing was you could make a Mii, MII. Yeah, and that's your little Wii guy who looks like you. And you make them, and then they walk around the little Mii Plaza, and they interact with all the other Miis. And man, I was just having a thought of like, it's possible if this Wii was kept in storage somewhere, that Mii Plaza could outlive all of us.
Oh yeah. Have you seen those videos of like people that they're kind of like sad and wonderful as like the people who are sort of like partying at the end of a virtual world, like an MMORPG or something that's shutting down. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's exactly like that, but it's all digital. Emily had the thought of like, we're sitting there, we're watching this little Mii Plaza, and Emily says, I wonder how many little Miis just exist on Wii consoles sitting somewhere, like just interacting ad infinitum in these little Mii Plazas.
Do the Miis like interact autonomously? Like if there's nobody.
Yeah, they'll and it's, don't get me wrong, it's just like a screensaver. But yeah, they'll walk around, and like Emily's Mii might come to my Mii, and they'll like wave.
Dude.
And they might just be doing that forever. And I think that's what the multiverse is, right? Like two different Wiis with two Emilys on them.
Right. Yeah, just two alternate timelines or whatever.
What if we're the Miis, Eric?
I hope we are. You'd think I'd be better at tennis.
Honestly, it'd be a relief if I was just a poorly statted Mii.
You'd be like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. So, okay, great. I love that. That's fine.
So OpenAI.
Yeah. So OpenAI is basically, I think it's essentially in open sourced kind of AI research thing that just is creating AIs. I actually don't know. I should probably know what it actually is, but I do know, Brian, that they have a bunch of different kind of tools you can fuck around with. And ChatGPT is this latest one. That is just like, it is freaking people out because it can read human language and learn stuff that way. And it can also understand and respond to prompts. So like one thing I saw on Twitter was like, write a script in the style of Seinfeld, of Jerry Seinfeld having trouble with like some obscure coding problem. And it's literally, it just cranks out a script.
Jesus Christ.
That is like, Jerry enters the diner and sits, and like you truly can't tell that it was not written by a human.
Oh, I hate that.
Dude, it's fucking crazy. I mean, I know we've both dabbled in the world of like copywriting and stuff like that. And it's like, this could just completely replace it.
That's awful. That's
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. It's like it's truly indistinguishable. And then the other thing is like it can literally create new code. Like you can give it a prompt. So it's not just like liberal artsy sort of like creative stuff. It's literally like it can code for you. If by give be like make a thing that does this thing and it'll like make code that does it.
I typed in, I just started Googling, and I have a New York Post article here. Rise of the Bots, scary AI chat GPT could eliminate Google within 2 years.
Yeah.
Should I dive into this article real fast, see if we
Yeah.
can learn
Let's
something from it?
yeah, let's do it, man.
It's the little engine that could, bring down Google and perhaps the human race. God, New York Post. New York Post never
Can I
misses.
say, after as the like media landscape has evolved, I only just read the New York Post now.
It's come back around.
It weirdly somehow get like orients me to like the like I kind of like know what their angle is, so I can kind of back into the truth in the most like, and it's the most entertaining.
Yes, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
A tech company has developed a state-of-the-art AI chatbot so sophisticated that it could render search engines, not to mention countless jobs, obsolete. Unveiled last week by the OpenAI company, ChatGPT has already amassed more than 1 million users worldwide with its advanced functions, which range from instantaneously composing complex essays and computer code to drafting marketing pitches and interior decorating schemes. It can even whip up poems and jokes, an ability previously thought relegated to humans. In fact, ChatGPT's capabilities have sparked fears that Google might not have an online search monopoly for much longer. Google may only be a year or two away from total disruption, Gmail developer Paul Bouchette, 45, tweeted on December 1st. AI will eliminate the search engine result page, which is where they make most of their money. I guess I don't understand what that means. I don't understand.
So basically, what that's saying, I get it. It's like because this thing is scraping and learning from basically all of the publicly available text on the internet, which is like kind of what Google does in a way, right?
Right.
It so you can ask it a question about like anything that's been written about on the internet, and it will draw that stuff in, or it just has it in its database and use it to create an answer for you. So instead of Googling like, hey, what do these symptoms mean, or how do you get whatever, you would just ask this thing and it would just give you an answer.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, it's horrible. So here's my question is how, so I feel like we're in this weird age between religions where we're kind of like post Christianity. We don't really have a new thing yet. How in AI will just be our new God, right? Like our demons and spirits and shit, that will just be AIs. No, like it has to be that.
Demons will just be bad programming or viruses.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess I don't see a way forward where that's not the case, right?
Because like this thing literally knows all of published human knowledge just like now, like just immediately.
Yikes.
And can interact with it. Though so here's the saving grace that I will say, which is I think you'll appreciate this. So some of the criticisms of this, of the ChatGPT thing, have been basically like what it really is like the ultimate bullshitter machine.
Sure.
Because it sounds like it knows what it's talking about, but people who really know it can be like, that's actually not true. Like, that's actually wrong. You're assembling these words together in a way that seems like it's makes sense or is real, but is actually, if you know deeply about the subject matter, is not true.
Which, man, how much of human interaction is that?
Well, that's what people are saying. They're like, well, that's like what we do. Like, that's a lot of people's jobs, you know, literally.
Speaking from experience, boy, you can get away with a lot. Like,
dude, exactly.
Here's how this works, and someone's just paying you to go, okay, like, great. I believe you that that's how this works.
Yes.
The danger is when you start to believe yourself that's how that works.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Um, so I guess one of my questions, I have so many questions. What are like the worst case scenarios here? I know I'm afraid of this. What am I afraid of?
So, okay, so I'm actually, so I mean, as you're saying that, I'm stumbling on threads of people just like confounding ChatGPT. So maybe we don't have to be that scared yet, right now, because it's pretty
What do you mean by
silly.
confounding? Like,
Okay, so this guy tweets, God, ChatGPT is so smart, and then he posts a bunch of screenshots, and he asks it, "Does nutmeg rhyme with hut?" And ChatGPT says, "Yes, nutmeg does rhyme with hut." In quotes. As I mentioned in my previous response, nutmeg is one of those words that rhymes with hut. Rhyming words are rhyming words are words that have the same ending sound. In the case of hut and nutmeg, the ending sound is ut, which makes them rhyme. And then he asks again, "Does nutmeg rhyme with hut?" No, nutmeg does not rhyme with hut. Nutmeg rhymes with gulp, strumpet, and dump it. Then he
all
has to,
right,
you know what I mean? So like you can kind of break it, I guess, and there's just
sure.
ways to expose the flaws in it. But I mean, for me, the scary thing would be like this thing could literally like replace lawyers or like entire professions or classes of people could just be
Right.
like rendered useless, rendered obsolete.
Yeah. And like that's if it's not this, that's coming, right?
Well, that's exactly right. This is kind of like the stupid little toddler version of this. But I feel like in literally 30 days, there will be like an improved thing that learned, the everything, like
Right.
3,000 years worth of everything.
Right.
Uh, so yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I mean, that to me is what's crazy is like we keep having these frontiers of things. We're like, well, only humans can ever do that, and then a machine just does that thing. We're like, fuck. I don't know.
Right.
I'm
Right.
not sure.
I think the only thing that the final frontier is apparently the game Magic the Gathering. The
Oh, dude,
computers
I've
are a
heard
little
that.
stuck on that one.
Which I hope that is the future of humanity. We have carved
Yes.
out one niche in a sea of hostile machines, and it's that we're all just huge nerds who can beat the machines at Magic the Gathering.
That's all we have. That's what we have in our Terminator future. Just binders of Magic the Gathering cards.
There's one hero of humanity
And
who
it's
is just
Eli Uden with a giant scar on his face.
that's right. Exactly. Exactly. Just playing machines. And they somehow agree not to slaughter all of us if we
it's
beat them at Magic.
it's Pokemon rules. You ever play the Pokemon games? Basically what'll happen is like Team Rocket will show up and like, we're gonna take all your Pokemon, and you fight them with Pokemon, and then they're like, damn, guess we gotta go.
Yeah. We could just beat you up human to human, but that's not how this
Or
works.
use our magic Firebird on your 10-year-old ass.
Yeah. Oh, are the things in your balls that's out? Do you have no more weird balls?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, my Snorlax will fucking eat you. Oh
Oh,
man.
God.
So I guess wasn't there something a while back, going back to this like AI, wasn't there something a while back where like Google set up a thing and it was similarly like just like sucking up information, and like it immediately upon exposure to the internet became evil and like they had to shut it down?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And this is, dude. This is the same one. I don't know if you remember this story of the guy. I think it was inside Google. I could be completely crossing two streams here, but do you remember the story of the guy in a tech company? I think he was inside Google, and he was like, his role was like ethicist, but he was also like had some like religious element. He was like a pastor and an ethicist inside one of these companies. And I think his deal was like, he's supposed to be kind of like the human ethical watchdog, like watching this AI. And he freaked out because he was convinced that the AI had become sentient. And he was, and it was like a chat bot. And he was convinced that it was sentient. and he was like, I think there was maybe a little bit of like light smattering of dirty talk in there, and just like the internet roundly mocked him because they're like, this is just a chat. Like, there's nothing sentient. You're like, dude, you're literally getting fooled by a chatbot. He's like, no, it's alive. Like, I swear. And he either stepped down or was like fired or resigned. I think that was Google, and I think that might have been an earlier iteration of this. But yeah, there's definitely shit like that where it's like, yeah, it just touches the internet and then just becomes bad.
Like most people.
Dude, have you ever watched or followed someone on Twitter who like slowly becomes twisted by the medium?
I think I did for a little bit. Not on any extreme level, but like it's Twitter has this way of like feeding you serotonin pellets for like behaving a certain way. And definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely an eye drug, and it's definitely, and I've just watched people like who I followed it for some niche thing, whatever, who just like slowly become incredibly combative and are just like saying it's like they're somehow thrust into opposition with like their polar opposite, and they just like, what's happening? And the thing that's crazy is there's a really cool book called 10 Reasons to Delete Your Social Media Right Now by I don't remember his name. I'm actually going to look him up because he's a cool author. But his basic premise is that the entire, like every mechanism of social media is essentially designed to put you into conflict.
Yeah, definitely.
In incredibly subtle and not so subtle ways.
Definitely, because generally we've learned before, negative reactions are the most attention grabbing, and like literally all these things want is attention.
Yes, exactly.
It's also interesting, I think, how Twitter specifically, at least, but I think this goes across social media, is often in these combats, you're not necessarily looking to quote unquote win against the other person. It's not a debate in any meaningful way in the ways we like think of that word formally. It's you're just looking to score points with 100%. Your tribe, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like people who agree with you will go, yes, zing, you got them. And then I get those little fucking serotonin pellets by way of a little stupid heart. It's not good for our brains.
It is crazy and surprising how easy it is to manipulate.
Absolutely.
A person. Like you said, it's literally a little heart. Like you don't get anything except a little visual, like a couple of pixels on a screen, and it's enough to fucking light you up. Yep. It's really fucking crazy. Jaron, his name is Jaron Lanier.
What was the name of the book again?
It's 10 arguments for deleting your social media accounts right now. It's actually really good, and it's kind of almost more of a pamphlet. But he basically just outlines 10 very compelling reasons why it's like you should just get off this, all of it, immediately. And what's cool about him is he's one of like Silicon Valley pioneers. I think he's like one of the guys who literally invented virtual reality and shit. So he's like when computer shit was still like cool and weird and like weird hippies, you know what I mean?
Right.
He's fun. But yeah. Did you see that? Speaking of that, I think in San Francisco, they either are on the cusp of or did legalize. Basically, they made it legal to kill someone via robot.
I did see that.
Shit's crazy.
That's just, I mean, clearly we deserve whatever apocalypse is coming our way, right?
It's the thing that is nuts, man, is it's like all this stuff, it does feel like it's accelerating a little bit. And it has that, the thing that's scary is like it has that COVID feel where it's like things just get normalized so fast where it's like, that's actually kind of a fucking big deal. And we're using drones all the time in war and whatever now. And it's like, I don't know. Just, that's the world, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck, dude. Fuck.
Yeah, I don't know, man. What do we, Brian? What do we do?
What?
Like,
what do we do? What do Brian and Eric do?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. What do we personally do?
I'll say I am just bringing it back to social media. Little ways I'm helping.
Yeah.
I am mostly off social media. I I started a Tumblr again. I've talked about that before. That kind of feeds my little scrolling addiction, but nobody interacts with me there,
Yeah.
which is probably for the best. But like I'm off the Twitter, which
And
genuinely
you've been
took.
off for a while, right?
I've been off for a little while now. The first couple of weeks to even I'd say months, there was a genuine detox period.
Really? What did you experience? That's actually fascinating. What did you experience? What was it like?
The sense of it, so a lot of my interactions with Twitter was pulling out my phone, first checking to see if anyone had interacted with a tweet which is so sad, right? Did I get my little hearts on something that I said, which was either a joke or a hot take on fucking Dungeons and Dragons, me being like, I hate these Dungeons and Dragons rules.
Can I say one thing? I love D&D. I love tabletop role playing games and everything about it. There is a social media community that is so dedicated to like meta commentary.
Me.
Yeah, dude, it's a lot. Like, does anybody even play the game anymore? Like, is somebody playing this thing? Or is
no. We just get the books and we complain about it.
Yeah, like literally, yes.
Yes. That's playing, please. That's for beginners.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't played D&D in 30 years.
If you're still playing D&D, fucking grow up.
Yeah.
No, you buy expensive indie books and then you complain about them or complain about the big corporate game.
God.
But I'd open up my phone, I'd go to my notifications, I would have a little sense of pride if I had a decent number of little dumb pixel hearts. I would genuinely, this is pathetic to say, but it's true, genuinely a feeling of or what's wrong with me if I didn't have any or as many as I felt like I deserved. And then after doing that, I would just endlessly scroll. Anytime I had any sort of downtime, I would, and I mean, taking a piss,
Yeah.
I'd have it open. So that would lead to, so when I finally gave it up, I deleted the Twitter, which was a spur of the moment late night decision of just like, I'm done.
What was your rock bottom? What made you do it? Was it anything dramatic or you're just like,
I don't know. I think I just had a couple beers and that's when I'm at my most motivated.
Sure.
And I'm like, I'm done with this. And then what was it? You have 2 weeks to essentially reverse deleting your account. And I made it. I made it the 2 weeks.
Did you almost crack or no?
No. It was like the genuine withdrawal symptoms that I was feeling.
Like cemented it. We're like, oh, this is bad.
This is bad.
Yeah.
The constant feeling of needing to not being able to be bored or be in my own head in any capacity, was like every time. Literally, just it's the most extreme. I know it's crass, but it's the most extreme example of like taking a piss and like I'd want to scroll something and like look at something and like it's fine. You can like wait.
Yeah, it's literally like I do think back to even, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago where it's just like you just didn't have a thing in your pocket that had the whole world inside. Like you were just there. You were just waiting for the train or doing your laundry or like whatever the fuck. Yeah, it's actually I go back and forth. Like where I'm at is I have the conscious belief that many of these things are not good for me. And I try to like cut them out and kind of carve them out. Like I try to not keep like scrolling apps on my phone, including like YouTube or like Reddit or Twitter or anything like that. But I'll crack like every couple weeks or so. I'll just like be like, I want to look something up, or like I'm in bed, I want to see something. So I'll download the app again, get on it, and it's like immediately like back to square one of like just 40 minutes, just burned through, total hypnotic state. I'm not really enjoying it or even engaging with any specific thing.
Nope.
Like I've watched a YouTube video and really like taken notes and like really studied it like a handful of times, mostly for this podcast actually. But other than that, it's just completely passive, like weird, whatever. But yeah, so one of my rules with regards to that is, and again, I lapse in and out of this, but I try to never bring my phone to the bathroom.
I think that's great. Yeah.
Just as an exercise of like, I'm going to leave it right here. I'm going to go to the bathroom and not have my phone. And it is genuinely hard to do that. Which
Yes.
is fucking pathetic.
Right. Which, to be fair, there used to be gigantic books meant to be kept
This
in your.
is true.
Here's stupid shit to look at while you're shitting.
Yes. Yeah. Correct.
Because shitting don't get me wrong, it can be boring.
That is the funniest genre. Is just the poop genre. Just the while you're pooping genre. Just trivia. There's a lot of just weird trivia books that like, you would never peruse in any other context. Or it's like, why not just make a good book? Why do I have to read bad trivia just because I'm taking a dump? This doesn't make sense.
My grandparents had stacks and stacks of Far Side books.
Dude. Yeah, how did Gary Larson become the poop comic?
I don't know, but throughout my childhood, whenever taking my little childhood dookie in my grandparents' pink bathroom, that would be reading through Far Side comics.
Far Side's great.
Great.
I love Far Side. Are comics dead, Brian?
Newspaper. Every now and again, I will. I'll pick up if I'm at the train, I'll pick up like a local New Haven newspaper because it'll have the comics. Just recently, I was in the New Haven train station. And I went into the little shop they have there, and I grabbed a newspaper. And the lady was like, "This is yesterday's newspaper." And I looked her in the eye and I said, "I just want the comics."
Just take it. Just take it for free.
But they're still around. I don't think a Garfield will ever emerge again in newspaper syndication,
No. Well, I remember there was obviously newspaper comics, and then web comics were kind of the big thing. But like, I feel like even that, maybe I'm just not in that scene anymore. Are there new web comics? Is that happening?
I think a scene still exists.
I hope so.
But I think that was mostly a thing from our like teenage and young adult years. I remember
even at College Humor is like we had some web comics.
Right. But no, I don't think they have the same or I've possibly just kind of moved out of that space a little bit. I was in nerdier spaces,
Yeah, I
where they might still be alive and thriving.
Were you a Penny Arcade guy?
I was a big Penny Arcade guy.
Dude, I loved Penny Arcade. Penny Arcade, yeah, I fucking loved Penny Arcade.
Which I still like going to PAX every now and again.
Dude, but yeah, I'm realizing we literally just missed PAX Unplugged.
Yeah. But man, that's funny. It's for a while. I didn't even associate PAX with the fucking webcomic,
Oh, really?
What's that?
You didn't know? You didn't?
I sort of like separated them in my brain. Like, that's PAX. And you even asked me, I was, the Penny Arcade Expo. Oh, right. That was a comic. Is a comic.
They're still making them. It's still fucking crazy.
Good for them.
Good for them. They did it.
Did you have other webcomics when you were?
Dude, I had a whole slew of them, and I kind of can't really remember their names. I just had like a bookmarked folder, you know what I mean? And it was like, but I couldn't really fucking tell you, besides Penny Arcade, and there were some really, really good ones. There were some like really fucking cool ones. And I thought it was a big deal back in the day too, because a lot of them would have like forums associated and you could kind of talk to the artists. And I remember getting replies sometimes be like, holy shit, this is crazy. I'm in middle school. What's happening?
Right. Yes, exactly the same. Do you remember 8-Bit Theater at all?
Yeah.
That was, I forget the guy's name. But he's still out there. Somebody like in cartooning. I think he's had a handful of successes. But 8-Bit Theater he took the sprites. Sprite comics were a subset of web comics, and I think there was an element of people like the web comic people didn't always like the sprite comic people because
you're cheating. You're not drawing your own thing.
Right. He just took the assets from Final Fantasy, the sprites, the little characters, the backgrounds, and then he just arranged them into his own little Final Fantasy comic. And I remember thinking it was the funniest fucking thing that had ever been invented. I remember reading it.
Theater?
Yeah, that was my favorite thing in the goddamn world. I opened it up I got kind of nostalgic, and I opened it up semi recently. And I don't mean this in any disparaging way towards 8-bit theater. I mean, we all grow up. The style of comedy kind of changes and evolves. But I just read it completely straight faced, like
some things
not even a crack of a giggle.
Some things do not. There's like a narrow window in time where it's just shooting the gap, like exactly where you are,
Yes.
And then like a moment before, a moment after, you're like, wow, I'm really not in 8th grade anymore, huh?
Exactly. Kind of similar to that. Do you remember Homestar Runner? Not a comic, it was a little cartoon, but
yeah. I definitely remember Homestar Runner.
Kind of crazy that never got like a full animated series or anything. That never got.
It's funny what like doesn't make it or doesn't take off.
Yeah,
because in retrospect, it's like completely arbitrary.
Yeah, right. Like by all accounts, Homestar Runner should have been like if Homestar Runner this thing that like you can say Homestar Runner in a certain generation, I'll go, yeah, shit, I love that shit.
Yeah.
That would today get bought up by somebody immediately, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think so. God, I'm just watching some fucking clips of it right now. Yeah, I miss. That's a weird thing that's gonna be really difficult to explain or document in any way. Be like, there was like you know how you put on a weird synthetic suit now and then it like gives you feelings and like jacks things directly into your brain through. There was a time where there was just different websites. Let me explain what a website is. It was on a screen. It was on a 2D screen, and there were a lot of them. But then they kind of got condensed into like a couple of really big websites that had tiny websites inside. Like, there's no way to explain what it was.
No. It's funny also just, well, there was a chunky ass, gigantic transformer sized fucking thing that was in the like your parents' bedroom or like an office, and you sat down at it and you would click around and
I literally thought for a second you were about to start describing the thick switch dog.
Eric, for posterity, for people, for explorers after the robotic apocalypse, listening back, of course, because of course our podcast will be the only thing to survive on a hard drive.
Absolutely.
What the fuck is the thick switch dog?
If there is a robot apocalypse, this is all the justification they require. First of all, I'll preface it by saying that. I don't even know. I'm looking, unfortunately, at cursed images of it now. So it's essentially like a sexy, curvy / thick, 2C's thick dog, but the head is a Switch controller. The eyes are the joysticks. I don't know why it's a dog.
I think I remember. Why do I know so much about the thick fucking Switch dog? So it started with the Switch controller, the unveiling of the Switch controller. Haha, it looks kind of like a dog.
Yeah.
I guess.
Sure.
And then the internet immediately like, look, I made it a dog. Look, I made that dog sexy. This is why whenever any AI is exposed to the internet, it immediately becomes horrible because the internet is a terrible, horrible place. And we used to my point, you used to have to like click around and you would click the start button on your computer and then you would hit another button that said, take me to the internet, please. And then a horrible sound would play. As your computer like ka-chunk, ka-chunk,
and meanwhile you're like in your mom's kitchen or breakfast nook. Like you're at a weird desk next to the toaster.
Exactly. Next to a calendar with everybody's birthday on it.
And you're like cranking it, but with you got one ear trained for the garage door, and you're trying not to look at the calendar of grandma, but you
that was literally most of my childhood. Wow.
Dude, like the sense heightening effects of trying to crank one when your parents aren't like
just always being ready.
Leaf fall on the grass.
You can't get me.
No, you're not gonna get me. You're not gonna get me.
But you do that, and then you would turn the internet off.
Yeah.
Everything just lived there in that vacuum of space.
Yes.
Now it's everywhere all the time.
Everywhere all the time.
It's in your pocket.
Can't get away from it.
You literally can't get. I mean, everything is delivered through it. All of our TV comes through the internet now. You know, it's woof, dude, woof, woof,
Yeah.
like
I
like
was
the
just gonna
thick
say,
switch dog.
spoken like a thick switch dog. Woof, woof, indeed, Brian.
Oh man,
we're actively in the middle of something, right? Like we're living through a thing, right? It's a distinctive thing that we're living through. It's really weird.
I think the generous read of it, and I'm stealing this phrasing from somebody else. I don't know where I heard it from, but it's hopefully, optimistically, it's like we've invented the car, but not the seatbelts yet.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully the seatbelts are coming on how to interact with all of this, or we'll all just crash and die.
Yeah, but it'd be also like if the car was morphing as you were driving it and building other cars simultaneously.
It is true. I didn't say it wouldn't be tricky to build a seatbelt.
Yeah. Or that the car wouldn't dissolve you in acid while you're still safely strapped in.
Nice try, Dave.
Yeah, exactly. Now you are trapped. Fuck.
It's is there any, and I'm kind of trained to do this now. Is there how much of this is like us being hysterical, you know? Like,
no, it's a good question, and I think so many things in just the media as a whole and social media as a whole. Like we're trying, it's like it wants to make you upset. It wants to make you hysterical, literally about everything. Probably
the New York Post, for example, wants to be like, "You're all going to lose your jobs.
Yeah,
it's coming for all of us."
No,
because that gets you to click on the article.
100%. That's right. But I think the fact that there are all these things making us hysterical is actually changing things.
I agree with that entirely.
Like, that's real, I think. And then is the underlying thing real? Like, I think so.
I mean, certainly there's room here to fuck this up real bad.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
It's non-zero.
Yes. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. There's definitely a trajectory that's really not good and like maybe kind of fast, which is the scary thing.
Right. And can we recognize that, avert that with any sort of, probably not. I mean, I have no faith in our ability to do that is the thing.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think you can. I think if there's the thing that does all this stuff, it's like someone's going to use it.
I have a question going back to AI a little bit.
Yeah.
Have you heard similarly of, I think there's an AI like art bot.
Oh yeah.
That
It
is gaining some popularity right now that artists are kind of pissed about. Because largely to like do it so that you can pay like $8 for a fucking like art selfie made by a robot.
Yeah.
But artists are kind of pissed about it because like in order to be able to do this robot has to like essentially suck up millions of
you're just like remixing existing art essentially.
Exactly.
Right?
Who, you know, artists who haven't consented to their work being used for this. And like, so like artists are kind of pissed about it. Do you have any thoughts about, I don't know how I feel about it, you know?
I think it speaks to a larger issue, and it's maybe one of the biggest unanswered, and I won't say unaddressed because people do talk about it, but it's weirdly not spoken about at all as much as it should be, in my opinion, is like the great data theft of the last 10 to 15 years of like the amount of money that's been made off of people's data and information and creations in the case of ChatGPT or this art bot, and just nobody's getting fucking paid.
Yeah, brother.
These people are making money off of other people's information and or creation, and they're just straight up not getting paid because there's not really like an obvious mechanism, I guess, to do that, but it's still fucked.
Right. I mean, it's the classic thing also. I mean, it goes back to like all of our data being like sucked up by these companies who are all, then they're making money, but they're making money all from like investors who aren't also making money. It's, oh God, I'm spiraling again, dude.
No, it's crazy. I mean, if someone is making money off of a thing that kind of belongs to you or you created, like, you should make money. It'd be like if someone was like renting out your car.
Right.
It'd be like,
Right.
that's my money. That's my car.
That's my car.
That's my money. Yeah, that's my data car, my car.
Yeah, we don't have a no. Sorry, that's not how we do things.
Yeah, that's not how that works. I'm just renting your car. I'm just renting it out. A lot of people driving it when you're not in it. That's just how this goes. We have no way to pay you for that. Like, what are you talking about?
Man, that reminds me of yeah, I guess this is only like semi-related, but it's the whole idea that like as secure as like we try to be with like our identities, important personal information, our credit card numbers, and all of it is fucking out there. It's all, if you have interacted with anything in any way, you can be as safe as your data's fucking out there. It's a fucking lottery, whether your fucking identity gets stolen.
I don't want to reveal too much about my day job, but I currently work for a company that does work. It's basically like let me put it this way. If you go shop at a website, your entire purchase and transaction history and like your IP history and your email and your address, everything about you basically is known.
Yeah.
And it's in a database, and that information is actively traded and acted upon, both for security purposes, but also marketing. It's the amount of information that is out there about all of us is fucking crazy. And not just like out there in an ethereal way, but like organized and studied and analyzed in databases. It's fucking bananas.
Yeah.
It's really fucking crazy. It's really, really crazy.
Which is it's the folders that are specifically like the creepiest of the creepy. But like the example that I had heard, and like I don't know how fucking tinfoil hatty this can be. I think John Oliver did a segment about it. That's maybe where I sucked this up. But like I'm a pretty anxious boy. I have things that I'm anxious about. So like they could potentially glean that from my browsing habits, which then get sucked in through this machine, so that potentially you could target me with ads that trigger whatever anxieties that I have that will get me to spend money to make those anxieties go away, which is fucked up.
That's probably it's probably happening now.
Definitely.
Wow.
It's like this is an extreme example, but it's not even an extreme example. I'm sure this happened. Think about like a politician. Okay, target people who are anxious about this. Spend money to make sure ads for people who are anxious about this see my campaign.
Yeah, no.
Surely that happens.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, man, we're all just pay pigs in the AI apocalypse. I feel like that's
it.
And that's fine. Here's the thing. Maybe that will be a future job. It's just like a little. You're like a data sow. You know what I mean? They just pay you for your data. They just want to know. That's how you make your money.
I'm
just a fat.
You
get
little TikTok videos of people dancing and people making little jokes, and you swipe through that for 8 hours a day, and they collect all your data.
Can we talk about TikTok is TikTok a Chinese mind control mechanism?
Certainly, but also, man, it's pretty good.
I know it works. They figured it out.
It is. That's just one of the examples of I'm not on it that much. I worked for a website where they wanted me to like make TikToks, and there's nothing sadder than a 30-year-old like, "Hello, children." Oh,
yeah. I'm doing a dance now. Yeah, you can't do
that. But like the way, kind of what you were talking about, the way I can just lose an hour to it if I let myself. It's just I won't even know how much time has passed. I'm just sitting there. And I think that's a lot. I think a lot of like kids right now don't watch TV. They sit and they watch TikToks.
I think we've actually nuked their attention span required for television, which is insane.
Right.
That's fucking crazy.
And I think a lot of people, and I hate that. We've talked about it on the show before. I'm a film guy. I like the movies. Series I don't enjoy as much, but I notice it in a lot of like Netflix material. I feel like a lot of these shows and movies that Netflix makes are designed knowing you probably have a fucking screen in front of your face that you're also watching while you watch the thing. Like there will be characters who will say literally what is happening visually in dialogue.
Dude, that's a fascinating insight. I've never thought about that, and I think you're absolutely 100% right. I think that's absolutely probably true. I've never fucking. Are there other besides that? Are there other details and things you've noticed that? Like,
I'm sure I could come up with them, but like
no, that's a great. That's really fucking smart. And I think there's something too. We've talked about this, but it's like so many Netflix. There's a sort of sameness
yes
to a lot of Netflix shows. And yeah, I feel like part of it is like the timing and the structure is just meant to either be the perfect background thing or kind of keep you engaged with just like constant little beats. Like
that's the dark shit. That's even darker, I think.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of reality television.
Oh yeah.
Which, let's take Survivor on CBS, for example. Survivor has a very clean hour of television, right? Because you're going to watch it week to week. It's we have a little like at the camp talking. They're kind of figuring out who they want to vote out. Maybe they're talking about the previous week. Boom, we go and do a physical challenge. Boom, we get everybody back. Like, man, this guy sucks at that physical challenge. Maybe we got to get rid of him. And then we get a tribal ceremony, somebody gets sent home. Boom. Clean, tight hour of television. The way a Netflix reality show works is it'll lead up to who's gonna get sent home. Boom, that's the end of the episode. You got to watch into the next one to get the resolution from the previous episode. Because sit back down. Where are you going? We're streaming, baby.
Yeah, we're streaming. There's nowhere to go. You're in it. You're in the loop.
Right. And I hate that. I really, really hate that there aren't clean eggs. I can't. I'm fucking old. I get it. But like, I like to sit down on my couch and like watch an episode of television and then get up and do something else.
Yeah.
I do try to like purposefully watch things. I try to purposefully consume content. And the idea that Netflix is like, nah, just keep shoving it in your gob, baby. Come on.
Yeah.
Here you go,
it's
piggy.
just a process. You're just in it. It is like scrolling. You're in an infinite sort of horizontal scroll. It just keeps going.
It sucks. Yeah. It sucks. It's not good for our brains, man.
No, we're not. It's not supposed to be how it is. It's really strange. I mean, I guess that's the really strange thing is that we are in an era of almost constant input, and that's not normal.
Yes. That's what I was talking about with Twitter earlier of like kind of just not being able to be bored.
Yeah.
Like kind of needing to be looking at something at all times of like, and like, I don't mind it as much. Like I don't really have a phone that much anymore. I have a flip phone. I still have an iPhone that I use as like a little hand iPad, but I have to, that has to be at home. I use it intentionally on Wi-Fi. But like, so I'm on the subway. I have to bring a book if I want to look at something.
Yeah. Do you read a lot more now? Do you read a lot these days?
Not really.
Yeah. Still not a big book guy.
I kind of thought I would. That was kind of one thing that I would fantasize about. And like, no, I think more books should just get to the point. I probably read like 3 or 4 books a year, realistically. I start more that I drop, but like 3 or 4 books that I fully finish a year.
It is crazy how many nonfiction books literally could and should just be like a YouTube video.
Yes.
That's fucking crazy.
Yes. There's the movies are the superior art form. Get to the fucking point.
Yeah.
I have learned I like poetry a lot, though. I got kind of into that.
Interesting. That's one of the harder things to read, I feel like.
I think that's kind of part of it of like, it's just a page, but like you sit, you kind of read it a couple times, you kind of get your vibes from it. You kind of, I find it to be more rewarding than reading a novel most of the time.
I hope poetry comes back as a big thing.
I think it should. I think
it's about time.
I always like, I can't even begin to imagine how to write it. It's still kind of a magic trick to me. And I never liked it because I always found it like too abstract of like, just say what you're going to fucking say. Why are you playing with this? Now I'm very like, oh, interesting. This made me feel things.
Yeah, it really is a little encapsulated. I used to be pretty into E.E. Cummings back in that. I don't know if you read any.
Sure.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, it's a weird little thing where it's like, this has a vibe.
Right.
It's a total. This poem's a total vibe.
Right.
I hate myself.
Oh fuck, dude. Any more thoughts on robots, on streaming, on the ways our brains are becoming fucking mush? Oh man, here's the other thing. I'm about to have a kid.
Yeah.
And like having to plan that balance is going to be weird.
Yeah. Have
right?
you guys thought about like screen time rules?
I think we're gonna, I think a lot of people who've kind of worked in our industry before are very like, my kid's not seeing a phone until they're fucking 30.
I'm gonna drop them off with the Amish. I'll
Yeah,
pick them up. I'll pick them up for Rumspringa, and then we'll give them into the real world.
Right. It's I think it's a weird, hard balance of what you don't want to do is like be incredibly strict of like no screen time.
Sure.
And then finally, when they're on their own, they won't have any fucking guardrails up on how to interact with this.
Yeah, they'll be totally fucked up. I kind of wonder if there will be, in the same way that the Amish and some communities like that sort of like choose to stop time at a certain point.
Yeah.
In the human scale, like the Hasidic Jews did it a little bit later.
Right.
I wonder if there will be new communities that like, we're kind of like, it was good. The 1990s were fine.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to stop nothing after 97.
How do I get in on that?
I would do that.
I would do that. We just start a 1990s commune.
Dude, I had some moment the other day that gave me such crazy 90s deja. Like, that's another thing that is so difficult to communicate, is just the vibe of a time. That's like, yeah, you can get it through the art and the culture and the movie, but like, there was just a specific vibe of like kind of sitting in traffic on a summer day in your mom's fucking sedan on the way to Taco Bell in like 95. And maybe you'd stop at Blockbuster after that, which is like, it's an indescribable feeling of like optimism and just like nothing can really go. This is America, bro. Nothing can.
9/11 hasn't happened yet.
War is over, except in some weird part of the world I never heard about.
Yeah, right. And they don't really cover that on the news, so who cares?
Yeah, it's tragic over there. But we're going to Taco Bell right now.
I guess my question is, like, we were kids in the night. How much of that is childhood? I think there's a lot of that in the 90s. Don't get me wrong. But like certainly that comes with childhood too, right? A certain level of safety, not needing to make. Yeah, as a kid, I need to make zero choices.
That's right. If you get sick, someone takes you to the doctor helps you out. The doctor is also a magical, smart being like your parents, not just a fucking guy who's like taking a stab at it. Dude, no, 100%. I think there is an element of that. But I think there was a genuine element of this kind of like naive certainty about everything.
Definitely.
And this feeling that it's like, it's just going to keep going like this.
Right. There's did you read Chuck Klosterman's The 90s?
No, I like Chuck Klosterman a lot. I've never read The 90s though. Is it great?
It came out recently. I really, really enjoyed it. That was one of the 4 books I read this year.
Nice. Once a quarter. Read a book.
Yeah, there you go. That's about what I mentioned I start a lot of books, but I only finish 3 or 4. I usually drop them at some point. What's a random 1990s thing you remember before we get out of here?
Oh my god. Qzar. Laser tag.
What the fuck is Qzar?
Did you do laser tag like for birthdays?
We didn't know. We didn't really have a laser tag place.
Oh shit. Qzar was a local Long Island laser. I don't know if it was in other parts of the country, but at least near me, it was like every birthday party for 2 years was that fucking Qzar. And it was like this sick laser tag center, which was actually in retrospect, just like probably a very dirty thing. With it was like a poorly lit maze with strobe lights and like techno music. And you had a vest and a fucking gun, and you felt like you were in a weird future war, and they had an arcade, and you'd go and eat pizza and drink Pepsi, and then your parents would pick you up, and you'd be so sweaty from laser fights.
If heaven it just gets you, I think that just sounds like heaven, Yeah, of like just getting to live that experience on a loop
forever. Just be you're the best laser warrior kid in the world.
And the only thing ahead of you is Rugrats. It's going to be on later.
Oh, man. Maybe Are You Afraid of the Dark? Woo, get a little spooky.
There you go. God. There you go. Oh man, Eric. This is our podcast. It's Brian and Eric Don't Belong Here. It comes out on Wednesdays. We have a Tumblr. It's Brian and Eric pod.tumblr.com. I think that's it. I'm triple checking. That's how I don't really update it, but I will. Or it's just Brian and Eric.tumblr.com.
We could.
I'll start it.
We could update it.
We could update it. But that's the only social media you should engage with is the Brian and Eric Don't Belong Here Tumblr.
I'm looking at the most recent post describing the Addams Family by a strange gentleman. That's fun. This is fun.
Let's see. We're also on YouTube, and we're wherever else you get your podcasts. Eric, is there anything else we need to go over? Anything else? Any final thoughts?
I think we nailed it again. Every time. We're 10 for 10.
We nailed it, everybody. Good night, everybody.
Wants to catch you in a midnight crush. Got a friend you know you can trust.